Salute to Uncle Andy is in the building, ready to get busy. Little disclaimer. I'm not in the best of spirits. I don't feel the best, but I do wanna get this topic. This is not my first time talking about the topic, but I'm dedicating a whole video to this topic. Now, normally I would have done a way better job as far as the aesthetics, the presentational aesthetics. I would have had everything. I would have bird fed you. And I do that because I know a lot of people, it's like they're not going to accept the food unless you play the airplane game. You know what I'm saying? Who's a good boy? Who's been a good boy? You got to do that for them to eat the food. So I create all these slides and everything for you guys. And I do not have those slides today. So, however, the flow of the conversation will be the same. So today you're going to have to do it old school like Uncle Andy and write down your own notes. Roby, what's good, man? Good to see you. Right? I think I only want to be up here for 2 hours today. I think I only want to be here for 2 hours. It could go another way. I'm going to open up I want to do an hour and a half of talking about this topic. And then I want to open up the phone lines to whoever has discrepancies, concerns. Because other people's discrepancies can teach you something. You may see something that, they may see something you don't see. Which in this topic is very important. Because I'm talking about a theory. Obviously, I'm not a scientist. I didn't go to school for science. I have no credentials. Unless you're talking about a federal license. I'm allowed to drive a commercial truck. The federal government gave me the right to drive a commercial truck. That's it. What I have is a theory. I don't think I'm wrong. I don't want to make it seem like, you understand? I know more than anybody else. I don't think I'm wrong. Before the show started, hold on one second. Let me go to show what I got going on here. Where's that at? Okay, there we go. Before the show started, I looked up how many types of intelligences there are. It's like, how many types of... And I'm going to tell you why I asked this. Right? You get a number of people over here. Not just here. There's a number of people, different types of people I've come across in life. But I don't think I really recognized or realized how many variations of characters there are in the world until we were told not to go outside and stay in the house. Now, I think this was a cursing and a blessing too. Like, I hate that time period for so many different reasons, right? Like, certain continents and civilizations had some real bad times, and I'm not saying this is one of the worst. Because the Japanese Americans in America had to go through some crazier times than what happened in COVID, right? What I had to go through in COVID, the Japanese American, that was like child's play. What I had to go through, right? They got taken from their homes and thrown in concentration camps. So, however, It was good and bad. It was uncomfortable for me. Let's just say that, right? They made me wear a mask and I couldn't breathe at the highest capacity that I'm normally used to breathing. All right, I could get through that. I wasn't in a concentration camp, I can tell you that. However, it's like if you thought you were smart, you realize, yo, you may not be as smart as you thought you was. There's some cats out here that's really, really nice with it. And then to this day, I'm looking at the internet like, damn, it's some powerful people, but when it comes to intelligence, in my what I regard as intelligence, my opinion of intelligence. However, that's what led me to ask. They seem intelligent. What type of variations are there of intelligence? Because you have people who can really speak well. Let's just take Ben Shapiro, right? I think I was listening to Ben Shapiro way before he became a sensation on he got wrapped up in all this mess, and then he became a household name just to be a quagmire. He had the Daily Wire. This is when The Hill was still together. You had some really good shows, but Ben Shapiro to me he had the ability to articulate things so fast. It was like boom, 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 and it just appeared to be intelligence. It's like, oh snap, this dude is smart. And then I seen him going to like different colleges and stuff like that. He intimidated me and motivated me at the same time, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I would not have took a debate against Ben Shapiro. And then he did this thing where he kind of like, it was a slight humiliation. Slight. Versus Professor Dave. Professor Dave seems to have some of those same traits. He could talk real fast. Not as fast as Ben Shapiro, but he could talk fast. He seems to know his craft. If he has been studying science, it shows. It definitely shows. You can't take nothing away from him there, right? But he's going to humiliate you along the way. So I think a lot of people are going to be like, yo, I don't have that discussion because not only is he going to beat the brakes off you, but then he's going to humiliate you too. And I just mentioned 2 people, right? But there's way more people that have probably been tagged as highly intelligent. And I have a saying on this show, if you can't be used, you're useless. And that's not even on my show. That's in life. If you can't be used, you're useless. And I feel that, I've read certain things. Robert McNamara and the Whiz Kids. You understand? Where people that are associated with different organizations, they go out and they seek the brightest and the smartest. That's not that hard to fathom. That's what people do. My intuition, though, is telling me some of these brightest and smartest minds have been recruited so they can express these talking points and protect certain things that maybe they don't want everyone else to exploit, talk about. So they grab the smartest minds. And this is not the 70s where they just disagree with you. No, now we're at the point where we're going to humiliate you and you're never going to bring this up again. And nobody else is going to bring this up again because they're going to see you get humiliated. And you're going to go out like a quack. We can get enough scientists together on our side. When you challenge, and this is just my personal opinion, what I've been watching, it's like you have a theory, because that's what science is. It's theories, and yes, it's a little bit more than that. I'm summarizing. It is theories that you have to test and measure and see if you can replicate. But there are some weaknesses in it. But the people that are part of the community are very dogmatic. And once they have a talking point, and once they have a theme going, and once they say something, they don't like for you to pretty much say that it's not that. Oh, God, please no. It's going to be smoke in the city. So like I've said before on my show, I would like to see more balance. More balance. Like, all right, show us what you got. And if you have a theory, and it could be a really, really great one, let's not come to a decision too hastily that that's the only option that we're looking at. So, that was what led me to look up different types of intelligence. I didn't know what I was going to get back. I got the number of intelligence types depend on the framework you use. The most widely accepted framework is Harvard psychologist Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. He names 9 here. 1 is logical, mathematical. The person who excels in math, abstract reasoning, logic, spotting patterns. Linguistic, strong command of language, reading, writing, and storytelling. Spatial, ability to visualize 3D spaces, create mental images, navigate effectively. Musical. Interpersonal, high empathy and skill in understanding, communicating, and working with others. Intrapersonal. Strong self-awareness, emotional understanding, and reflective thinking. Naturalistic, ability to recognize, categorize, and connect with elements in nature. What I'm curious to know, and I'm not going to find out on this show because that's not what this show is about. This is just pre-ramble. And I'm going to read some of the comments and then we're going to get busy. Could you have one or more of the 9 intelligences and not have them all? All right. Let's go ahead and start reading some of these comments. King Solomon is the 666 Ethiopian Orthodox Church in gold. Okay. Queen Sheba gave King Solomon the number 666 of gold, Ethiopia Orthodox Church. Sounds great. Legalized dreamfish, Colorado. River toad, cane. What is this? Hemp. All holy medicines. Okay. Are you selling these? Holy medicine have medicinal alkaloids, terpenes. Okay. DNA and microbes. Oh, yeah, okay. Sounds like gibberish. 666 mean very, very, very loud and dynamic marketing. Okay. All right. It's good to see Dre Theo back. He's been over here before. Oralism mean language for the deaf. Okay. I see 3 in my life that apply. So Uncle Andy is saying he sees 3. He doesn't have all 9. I see one that I want really bad, which is the first one, logical, mathematical. But to be honest with you, I have not put in enough time. Right? Life is not over. I'm still alive. I can still dedicate myself to start to learn math. I do spot patterns. I am strong there. So it seems to me I might do good in logical and mathematical, but I have not applied myself to learn mathematics. My reasoning and my logic and my spotting patterns is excellent. Now I have to finish that up if I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not great at linguistics. I could be better. Right? When you're not around people that speak as well as you, they're like, "Oh man, you speak so well. You speak like you're white." I don't know what that means. That's crazy talk. You're here. Try make an attempt to act like you want to learn the language. What are you doing? It's cool to goof around and use slang, and I can talk slang with the best of them. But it's only a language that can be utilized in certain circles, and it's not accepted in a lot of it's not accepted universally. You understand? It's not accepted in business. What am I doing? Okay, I could use it to goof off with the guys in the street. That business is dried up. It's not a protected business. Snitches everywhere. Think I'll go get a job. And they don't want to hear me coming here talking jive all day long. I'm good. Let's get the show started, man. Hit the like button on the way in. If you want. This is not a show for likes. I'm not doing it for that. Let me turn the monitor off for a second as I get my... Alright, so today, where am I going? Because I didn't get slides for you guys, what I'm going to do is I'll probably use AI for some of the answers on the fly, just so that we can keep the conversation going, because we got to wrap this conversation up within an hour and a half, and then the last half an hour I want to give you to talk. Where do I want to start? Well, since we're talking about the mark of the beast, how about we start at Revelations? Now, I have a Bible here. And if you don't mind, I think I'll just read from the King James Bible. You can grab whatever Bible you have. And I'm going to go to Revelations 13. Now, Revelations is the last book in the Bible. Apparently, allegedly, it was written by John. This is not a show about the genuineness of the Bible. That's a whole different show. I don't feel like talking about right now. So, Revelations 13. Where's it at? It's right there. I don't really feel like reading the whole Bible. I'll read right here, just only because my spirit tells me this is a good place to start. I'm going to start at 13 and 9. I don't know where my reading glasses are, but we're good. And it says, "In all that dwell," no, that's 8. If any man have an ear, let him hear. I like that. I always use that phrase. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. It sounds like wisdom. I don't know. Sounds fly though. I gotta figure out what that means. He that leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. He is the patience and the faith of the saints. Okay, I know what it means. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. The descriptions are crazy. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. I understand. That could mean anything. You understand? It could mean anything. People could do that now. Today. But if we don't have the same language, somebody's going to call it a dragon. It was a dragon. You know what a dragon is. Then I may show them an airplane from today's time, and they're like, yeah, a dragon. That's what I said. What do you don't understand? Clean out the wax in your ears. Anyway, let's keep on. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. Jesus Christ. Idolatry. Which had the wound by a sword and did live. Okay. Now we're almost getting there. Now we're getting there. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. This sounds crazy. Amazon might want to pick this up. That the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. That's a bit extreme. That's nuts. Or is it? It's not that nuts if you finish reading. It's not that nuts if you finish reading. Read that again. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. Yep, I got it. That the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship accept. When you worship, right? You have to accept. I'm just paraphrasing, right? I'm just trying to understand it in my own language. They say worship. If in order for me to worship, I have to accept. Okay. Would not worship, would not accept the image of the beast, they were going to be killed. If you didn't accept, if you didn't worship the image of the beast, if you didn't accept the image of the beast, you get out of here. You're going to get killed. Okay, that's according to this. Anyway, let's continue. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark or the name of the beast. Yikes. The mark or the name of the beast. Or, okay. Or, there's another one. It's about to say I'm in trouble. I got people watching. But there was one more. the number of his name. The number of his name is crazy. Number of his name. Number of his name. The number of his name? Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast. What? What are you talking about? For it is the number of a man. And his number is 666. 666. Well, let me first knock out what I don't think it is. Which is something I've seen some people bring up. And I don't think it's... Hold on. Before we even get there. Oh, that song that I played in the beginning? Fire. I want to do another jazz album. Never mind a hip hop album. I wrote words to that song. I'll play by the end of the song, at the end of the video. All right, let's look at this. Just look at this. Right here. In ancient languages like Hebrew and Greek, letters held numeric values, a practice called gematria. When the name and title of the notorious persecutor of early Christians, Emperor Nero, Neron Caesar, that's crazy, is translated into Hebrew letters, the values total exactly 666. I don't think it's this, but this is pretty... It could be true. You understand? This is why I'm going to open up the phone lines to anybody that has a theory. Hopefully we don't get that many quacks that call the phone lines and tie up the phone lines with nonsense. But if you have a articulate explanation of why your theory should hold up, I just don't think it's this. Now, before I do go into some of the things that I do think it is, I would like to open up well, let's just use this same one, Gemini. And let's just start from the beginning. Actually, we're not starting at the beginning. We're going to start at atoms. And atoms is not the beginnings. You have some things that make up atoms. But I want to start at atoms. Let me check the comments real quick. No, Dre, Theo, you can call. Anybody can call, bro. I don't have the lines on right now. Anybody can call. Anybody can call. Before I get started, this is not a dogmatic conversation where I'm telling you what the mark of the beast is. When I finish, there's some people who think, yo, that was intelligent, and that I think now you got me to think, and now I'm thinking that might be the mark of the beast. When I'm finished, there's going to be some people that came in the same way they left. You're full of shit. I want to hear from you guys. You understand? We get too wrapped up in the dogmatic. Shafar says Israel must be protected by God. In the last days, the U.S. must be weak. I don't know what that means. Should I take a snapshot and submit that to the feds? Is that a terroristic threat against the United States? I don't know what that means. Easy. Easy. All right. So get your notes out. Let's get started. Because it doesn't even have to be a long show. All right. Gemini. I think I want to talk to Gemini. Can I talk to Gemini? Hey, are you listening? Oh, I got to do it like that? I don't want to do that. Yeah, I'll type it in. What is that? Where do I want to start? And this is why I usually have slides, because it just lines the conversation out for me. But I'm not feeling well, and I didn't feel. I take a lot of work sometimes to do that. Sometimes it takes me days. So I said I'll do it with them together. Okay, let's do it like this. Please break down an atom for me. Period. What is it? Let's just start here. An atom is a fundamentally building block of all matter in the universe. Everything you can see, touch, and breathe, from the water you drink to the screen you are reading this is on, is made of atoms. Okay, this is a good place to start. An atom is incredibly tiny, about 1/1000th of a meter. I don't need to know that. The nucleus. This is an extremely dense, positively charged center of the atom, even though it takes up only a tiny fraction of the atom's physical nature. Okay, so this is why I usually do diagrams for everybody. Because when they get into this type of rhetoric, and it's not rhetoric, but it's an explanation, but if you're not wired to comprehend certain things, you're going to get bored, you're going to be ready to go. And the person doesn't end up learning anything. This is why I usually do all the work. The 3 subatomic particles. Atoms are made up of 3 smaller pieces known as subatomic particles. I think we can handle that information. I don't think anybody's going to get overwhelmed with that. Like, what? 3 subatomic? Easy. Atoms are made up of 3 main pieces. Each has a specific location and a specific electrical charge and a specific mass. You have the proton inside the nucleus. The nucleus is the center of the atom. So, inside the center of the atom, you have something called a proton. When it comes to charges, they say it's a positive charge. This has nothing to do with like conscious power morality. It's not like, hey, it's a good charge or it's a good person. And when things are getting to take away, it becomes evil. No, that's not. It's just, it's nothing to do with good or bad. Neutron is also inside the nucleus. It's neutral. It doesn't have a charge. The electron, it has a charge, but it's a negative charge. So you have a positive and a negative. The electron is negative. The electrons, they are more located. They are located, not more. They're not in the nucleus. They are located outside of the nucleus. This here says the electron cloud. This is a vast, mostly empty space surrounding the nucleus where negatively charged particles zip around at nearly the speed of light. Note on atomic mass units, AMU. Because atoms are too small to measure in grams, scientists use AMU. Protons and neutrons are heavy and equal in mass, while electrons are so light they are practically weightless by comparison. What makes elements different from each other? The number of protons in the nucleus is the ultimate defining characteristic of an atom. This is known as the atomic number. Now, let me explain to everybody. I missed all of this in science class, right? I had to go to science. I graduated. I don't know what I did during the whole 12 years of school, but it wasn't none of what I'm doing now. It wasn't. I don't know what I was doing. Now I try to figure out, I want to understand, right? Now I'm voluntarily studying algebra. I could have did this in high school, but I was doing whatever I thought I wanted to do. And the same thing for science. So I wasn't today years old, but I wasn't far from it when I realized and I was taught that the number of protons that are inside the nucleus of an atom is going to determine what type of atom, what type of element it is going to be. The number of protons in the nucleus is the ultimate defining characteristics of an atom. This is known as the atomic number. If an atom has exactly one proton, it is always a hydrogen. It is always hydrogen. If it has 6 protons, it is always carbon. If it has 79 protons, it is always gold. It may sound stupid. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I know they had some type of chart with different numbers up there. I had no idea what those numbers meant. I didn't even think like, they might have some type of ration behind it. Like, then again, I don't know if I cared. You understand? I thought I was going to work in the music industry for Puff Daddy. And you couldn't tell me different. So I didn't give a shit about science. You could boof your science. You could boof that math. I don't care nothing about that. However, I must say, if I'm going to say anything, I was very impressed by my friends who sold crack. And when they did come to school, they was breezing through math. And I'm like, how the fuck do you know that? I sell crack, bro. I do with math all day long. I had a friend named Nitty from Brooklyn, but he came to live in Mount Vernon, so he was finishing his school. I didn't expect Nitty to even come to school. Anytime he came to school, I was shocked, period. Like, yo, bro, what are you doing here? You in school today? Nitty was for the streets. He was the streets. But he didn't come to school and, like, bullshit around. If he decided to make it to school, he actually came to class. I knew he was up to no good in the streets. But he didn't come to, like, school and cause trouble. That wasn't his thing. In the streets, it could be a whole different thing. Him and his brother was kicking up dust in the streets. When he came to school, he knew shit. He silently sat in class, and when the teacher gave us the test, and he's breezing through this shit. I'm struggling. I was just flabbergasted. How do you know this? Apparently, he's like, yo, it don't take all day to learn this shit, bro. You understand? I can learn this shit while I'm selling crack. Apparently you can. Apparently you can. And you look good doing it. You got the new Hirachis on. Look at you. What else are they telling us here? Okay, this is also what I wanted to mention to you. I'm doing this with you in real time, so I don't know what they wrote yet. You understand? So now, me and you're listening to me. We both know that it's the proton that gives the identity to the atom. Like, if you didn't know that before, now nobody knows you didn't know that. It's all good. Maybe you did know. You like looking at me like, yo, you're a fucking asshole, bro. You didn't know that? I didn't. I'm just going to keep it real with you. Isotopes and ions. While the proton count is fixed for a specific element, the other particles can vary. Isotopes. Atoms of the same element. You know what that means. They all have the certain number of protons. With the same number of protons, but a different number of neurons. Okay. For example, carbon-12 has 6 neutrons, while carbon-14 has 8 neutrons. It changes the weight, but it is still carbon. Well, if I didn't know the rest of that stuff, I was not going to know this, right? I want to run through this before we're going to delve deep into this. Just go with it for a second. I'm not going to leave you out there. I just want to see what they provided, and then I'm going to drill down into whatever they provided. Just hang with me for a second. Atoms that have gained or lost electrons, giving them a net positive or negative electrical charge instead of being neutral. We'll come back to that. How atoms interact. I do want to talk about the valence shell. That's what the valence shell looks like. So what we did discuss already is that there's a nucleus. And what we did discuss is that the protons and the neutrons are going to be in the nucleus, but the electrons are going to be in what they said a cloud outside of the nucleus. And they called it a cloud, which I guess is kind of like simplifying it so they don't over-explain anything. But within that cloud, scientists have figured there's structure in that cloud. And they call the structure, a valence shell. A valence shell. Again, I'm no scientist. I'm a guy who has a CDL, so take it easy. Now, let's read, because I think they are going to explain. I don't want to ask them to explain something twice, so I'm trying to see if they're going to naturally explain it before I drill into it, because there's some things you must know. How atoms interact. The valence shell. The electrons orbiting the nucleus. Well, we know what all that means right now. We're comfortable with these words. Aren't just flying around randomly. They reside in specific layers or energy levels called electron shells. Okay, we have to understand this for where we're going to go today. Everybody chill out. The outermost layer is called the valence shell, and it is the star of the show when it comes to chemistry. Atoms naturally seek stability. You should know that. Atoms naturally seek stability, which usually means having a completely full valence shell. For most atoms, this means holding 8 electrons, known as the octet rule. This is crazy. You're learning more than I learned. I bust my ass to learn this shit. And it seems like it's just teaching you. Very easy. So now you know what the octet rule is. If I said what is the octet rule, that's when the valence shell, the outer shell, seeks to hold 8 electrons. From what I know, any more than 8, things could get unstable. And you want to stay away from instability. But let us carry on. To achieve this stable, full outer shell, atoms interact with each other in 2 primary ways. Okay, do tell. 1. Covalent bonding. 2 or more atoms hold onto the same electrons together. We're going to share. Effectively sharing them so that both atoms can fill the outer shells. This is how a water molecule, H2O, is held together. We'll drill down into that. Oh, this is the end of it? Good. We'll drill down into that in a second. I really need paper so I know what to drill down on. Give me a second. Drill. H2O. All right. The other one is called an ionic bonding. Ionic bond. So you have 2 different type of bonds that we're going to discuss today. The first one, which is the main, I can't say the main one, but the first one is a covalent bond. You already know what valence is. That's the outer shell. So you got that part. The co part means to work together. So that's how you remember that. Covalence, right? You're going to share. That's how you're going to remember that. Covalence bond. Second one is the ionic bond. Now, when they talk about stealing and all that, that's when we're going to get into stealing. Atoms with only 1 or 2 electrons in their outer shell find it easier to actively donate those outer electrons away, emptying that outer layer so the full shell underneath becomes the new exterior. Sort of like an onion, I'm gathering. Conversely, atoms that are just 1 or 2 electrons short of a full shell will eagerly accept or take those electrons. Snatch box, no backsies. This transfer creates charged ions that magnetically snap together like sodium, donating an electron to chlorine to create a stable table salt. Now, I would like to dig into ions too. So let's see if they can you simplify? Well, they're right there. That's an E. That's not going to work. The definition for ion, like I am in the 4th grade. Please, because we have manners. Think of an atom like a person holding a bunch of legal-sized balloons. What? Normally, an atom is perfectly balanced. It has the exact same number of positive charges, protons, inside its center as it has negative charges, electrons, floating around the outside. Because they match, the atom is completely neutral. It doesn't have an electrical charge at all. An ion is just an atom that became electric because its balance got messed up. Okay. That's why I wanted it to simplify it. Sidebar. Maybe they did need all these words in science. Maybe, who am I? It's not even my field that I wanted to be an expert in. Now I'm pretty curious. I'm thinking about going back for my doctorate. It's going to take a lot of time. But just like in technology, there's like words that I figured out later on, and I'm like, why didn't you just say that? Like, this word means the same thing in this industry over here, and you could have just said that. But they don't do that. And it has to be, they can't be out here using like, right? That's not science. So they can't be like this, sort of like that. It can't be like sort of and like. So I kind of get why there is a label for everything, every interaction, every change. Because they need to communicate exactly what happens. However, for some reason, I think I might be gifted at helping people understand certain things on a certain level. But I did spend 20 years in the Board of Education, teaching every grade from pre-K to 12. So that may help. And I know you're like, you spent all that time. I was a substitute for most of those years. The only reason. So this is what would happen. Sometimes they would ask me to be a substitute at the beginning of the year, and they would be like, okay, this teacher's going to be out for like the whole year. Do you want the class? And I would take the class, but I also would be pissed off. The reason I would be pissed off is because I would tell them. Sometimes they wouldn't ask me. They would just keep giving me the class, and then I would have to realize, like, yo, when's the teacher coming back? And they were like, oh, you got the class for the rest of the year. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not fair to the students. I'm a scumbag off the streets who just happens to do substitution during the day. I guarantee you I'm sticking something up when I leave this joint. That's not even to be debated. They need a real teacher. What are you doing? And I was pissed off about that. So I said, let me give this a try. When it came to my lower classes, what I recognized is that they wanted to label these kids special ed all the time. That pissed me off. Maybe they were diagnosed by a clinical doctor and they should have been in special. Maybe. Who am I? Again, I'm not, but I am somebody that recognizes patterns. I think my intelligence is in rational thinking, logical thinking, and recognizing patterns. I tried something. I said, yo, let me see if I could look at these kids and see where they learn better. And now what I recognize is some of them learn better linguistically, some of them learn better visually, some of them learn better audibly. They all learn different. And then I would put it to use. Unfortunately, I can't, no matter how much I fought for a kid to get him out of special ed, I didn't have no credentials. Yo, bro, you're a substitute teacher who makes $75 a day. You're lucky to be here. Shut up. And that's what it was. Anyway, now we know, and I just want to make sure It says that an ion is just an atom that became electric because its balance got messed up. This happens when an atom either gives away some of the negative electrons or takes. So it could be a positive or a negative charge for that atom. It now becomes an ion. Good for us. Now we know what that means because we didn't before. The giver, positive ion. If an atom gives away a negative electron, it now has fewer. If an atom gives away a negative electron, it now has fewer negative charges than positive ones. Because it lost some negativity, it becomes positively charged. You understand that? Good. The taker. If an atom takes an extra negative electron, it now has more negative charges than the positive ones. It becomes negatively charged. Okay. I think we knocked that out the way. Before we move on, because we're almost done with this right here, I just wanted us to have a strong grip on the conversations that we might be getting into. And you can't do that if you don't understand science, at least this level, right? You don't have to become a doctor. But this, believe it or not, is elementary. For those who just was jacking off in high school, we did not do ourselves any favors. Trust me when I tell you. Okay. Can you please explain in detail the H2O covalence explanation of sharing electrons possibly with a image. Thank you. All right, let us do his thing. While he's doing his thing, I will look up what we got over here. Got Uncle Andy. Each element has either negative or positive valence. All right. We'll wait for this. There we go. That's exactly what I wanted. How water molecules share electrons. Shared electrons, shared electrons. This is the covalent bond. Hydrogen only needs 2 electrons to be happy. It shares 1 and gets to use 1 from oxygen. Okay. Sharing is caring. By sharing, all the atoms get a full outer shell and become a stable water molecule. Oxygen needs 8 electrons in its outer shell. It has 6 and gets 2. More by sharing with hydrogen. Okay. We can leave that alone for now. Now where I would like us to go is we already know that 1 is hydrogen, and it did already mention 6 is carbon. Did you say 6 protons in a atom makes the carbon element? Yes, exactly. Any atom with 6 protons in its nucleus is always carbon. The number of protons is like an element unique atom fingerprint. It's ID card, no matter how many neutrons. Okay. That's cool. What exactly does carbon do in our bodies? If water is the fluid that fills our bodies, carbon is the solid framework that builds it. About 18% of your total body weight is pure carbon. In fact, if you removed all the water from your body, about half of the dry weight left over would be carbon. Carbon is the absolute superstar of human biology because of one unique superpower: its ability to form stable, covalent bonds at the same time. Because it has 4 covalent electrons and wants 8, it can bond up with to 4 other atoms in almost any direction. This allows carbon to act like a molecular Lego brick, building complex, stable chains, rings, shapes that no other element can manage. Every single major biological molecule in your body is built on a skeleton of carbon atoms. Here is exactly what carbon does in your body. Yes, Roby. However, Roby, we will look at something that I found interesting. But you got it, Roby. It stores and delivers your energy, carbohydrates and lipids. When you eat, you are consuming carbon chains, and when your body stores energy, it uses carbon chains, right? It builds your physical structure, your muscles, skin, hair, organs. Connective tissues are all made of proteins. Proteins are built from smaller units called amino acids. Every amino acid has a central alpha carbon atom that holds the entire structure together, connecting the nitrogen pieces, the oxygen pieces, the unique side, chains that make each protein do its specific job. It holds your genetic code. What? The instruction manual for your entire body is written in DNA and RNA. The famous double helix ladder of DNA has a backbone made of alternating sugar and phosphate groups. The sugar molecule, deoxyribose, is a 5 carbon ring structure. Without carbon to form this sturdy structure ribbon, your genetic code wouldn't have a stable physical house to live in. It powers your cellular communication, hormones, and enzymes. Your body needs to send messages and speed up chemical reaction to keep you alive. Really? The carbon cycle inside you, breathing. Carbon is so active in your body's energy production that it creates constant waste product. When your cells break down glucose for energy, the leftover carbon combines with the oxygen you breathe in. This creates carbon dioxide. Your blood carries this back to your lungs, and every single time you exhale, you are literally breathing out the microscopic pieces of used up carbon building blocks from your body. Can I just stop right there? They want me to believe so bad that I came from a fish and that somehow, and they could be right, but I am allowed to have my own thoughts. I understand. I do think I appreciate what science brings to the table. However, when it comes to these ancient texts, I don't think anybody wants to talk about what was written down. It wasn't written down once. It was written down a few times. What are you talking about, Jamel? Well, these people keep talking about a sky people that came down and genetically made another people. Now, maybe before 1900s, that sounded absolutely crazy. But I think I was in high school when they cloned a sheep. It's all fun and games till they start cloning things. It's all fun and games till they figure out the science. So, I think while we were quick to write off that, hey, a lot of that is myth. I don't know. This planet has been here minimum 1 million years. How can I say that with accuracy? Not like some guess of using the science, it takes gold 1 million years to form according to the science. So if it takes gold 1 million years to form, I won't even go over the limits. I have people calling me, yo, the planet was here for billions of years. Listen, I don't need 1 billion years. 1 million years is fine. I'll take 1 million. Because if we figured out in 2,000 years, after going through a bunch of ups and downs, people hate when I say the Europeans didn't know how to fucking bathe. They get upset. Oh, we knew how to bathe. Why are you saying these things? Because you had the fucking bubonic plague, my boy. Fucking fleas everywhere. You didn't. Look, let me not troll you today, right? My whole purpose in bringing up these things is we had to learn over, in my opinion. I say over because I think we had already went through this already. So we had to learn over. And to see the advancement and the evolution, when we look back at history, you say, wow, that's kind of impressive. But then now it's getting dangerous because we at a point where I may think we understand too much and we don't know what to do with that. I mean, you're giving a fucking Darth Vader sword to people who just figured out that, hey, maybe these people deserve to have civil rights too, right? They just gave fucking people certain civility rights in the United States like 55 years ago. These are the same people you want to trust with the ability to clone fucking people? Are you shitting me? My point is, there are several stories of other people, sky people. I'm not here to say if these sky people literally existed, but it seems like a lot to go out your way to say these people fucking created somebody. Then when you actually look at the body and how complicated it is, but it's almost perfectly complicated. Like whoever did. I mean, you could still believe in like we came from the fish. I'm not. That's fine. But this is a fucking computer. This is like a highly advanced computer. The more I read into science, I don't know why I'm the only one that's like, yo, this is a fucking computer, bro. With genuine electricity, running off of genuine electricity. And it seems like there is another force down here that's like, no, it's nothing behind the curtain. It's nothing. You're not a computer. That's all. Pseudo talk. Let's stop that. I don't know, man. I do have a master's in in information systems. Like, I had to take the same courses they took in information technology and in computer science. And I spent the first 3 years of my career as a professional technician fixing computers. And the supervisor would not let us send it out. He's like, what do I have you for if we're going to send it out to get fixed? You fix that shit. I'm talking about soldering shit on the motherboard, all of that. I'm like, yeah. This is why I hired you. So when you came into me and was like, yo, my computer don't work, I have to figure that shit out, bro. Which was good for me because now I get to look at the motherboard. I get to see the circuitry in the motherboard, the little copper strips that's carrying information to this particular part over here. I'm like, I have to truly understand now how this works. The more I do that, the more I look at my own body. I'm like, this was designed after the human anatomy, bro. It's just the veins in your body, the nervous system that carries the electrical current. It's all the same. Which came first, the computer or the body? Obviously, we did. So this is not our first time recreating something. We have, what do we call it? Artificial intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence, great. What I'm saying is we may be artificial intelligence. Is what I'm saying. I just want you to think about it. Because as we go and get into this science, like we're about to get into, it looks eerily similar. That's all I'm saying. It looks eerily similar. All right, man, let's get back into this. That was nuts. Where was I? Where did I plan on going? Give me a second. I don't think I wanted to jump away from this quite yet. But we did cover a lot of good ground that's going to help us understand. I know where I wanted to go. Don't even worry about it. Okay. Let's get into isotopes now. There's a few things we got to get into scientifically before we get into what I'm going to jump into. But actually, believe it or not, this isotope may be a good meat and potatoes. Okay, what do we got here? We said the carbon is so actively in your body. Okay, it powers your cellular community. So carbon does a lot. You know what? We're not done with carbon yet. Does carbon play a role in the nerve signals at all? I said, does carbon play a role in the nerve signals at all? While carbon doesn't act as the actual moving electrical charge that zips down a nerve, carbon plays the ultimate supporting role. Well, what role would that be? Without carbon, nerve signals could not be created, sent, or managed at all. Okay, do tell. To understand how, we have to look at the difference between the electricity itself and the machinery that controls it. I don't know why you would call it the machinery, bro. Are you trying to trigger me? The actual electrical spark in your nerves is caused by metal ions. Oh, there's another bond. There's a couple of things we got to get into. We spoke about the ionic bond. We spoke about the covalent bond, which you know about now. There's also a metallic bond. There's three main bonds. Okay. To understand how, we have to look at the difference between electricity itself and the machinery. Okay, we got that. The actual electrical spark in your nerves is caused by metal ions. We know what ions now. This is a atom that is charged either negatively or positive. See how we learn? We on this. We got this, baby. They can't fool us. No, sir. Specifically, sodium and potassium rushing in and out of your nerve cell. But every single piece of equipment managing those ions is built out of carbon. Let me read that again. But every single piece of equipment managing those ions is built out of carbon. Jesus. Here is exactly how carbon makes nerve signals possible. I don't think I've ever read this. So we're about to learn some stuff together. I can tell you that. Number one, it builds the gates, ion channels. Nerve cells are wrapped in a fatty membrane that blocks electricity. To let the sodium and potassium ions in or out to create a signal, the cell uses microscopic gates called ion channels. These gates are complex, highly specialized proteins. Because they are proteins, they are built entirely on a foundation of carbon chains. Wow, amazing. Carbon forms the physical tunnel in the moving parts of the gate that snap open and shut in milliseconds and let electrical charge pass through. I had no idea when I did this show today that I would expose so much on how much carbon is really needed in our body for certain things. Let us move on. It powers the battery, the sodium potassium pump. For a nerve to fire, it has to build up electrical pressure ahead of time, like pulling back the string on a bow. The cell uses a machine called the sodium potassium pump to push ions where they don't want to go, resetting the nerve's battery. Look at that. This pump requires a massive amount of constant biological energy. That energy comes from the molecule called adenosine triphosphate. ATP. The core of the ATP molecule is a 5-carbon sugar ring, ribose. What? Bonded to a carbon in a nitrogen house, adenine. I know these words. Carbon is the literal handle of the cellular battery pack. Do tell. That sounds mighty sciencey to me, Mr. Smarty Pants. It bridges the gap between nerves, neurotransmitters. Uh-oh, don't tell me that. First of all, let me draw myself a little diagram here that is a hexagon so I know to remember, just in case I forget to talk about hexagons later. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Cool beans. Nerves do not actually touch each other. They don't. When an electrical signal reaches the end of one nerve, it hits a gap called a synapse. To kick the signal across the gap to the next nerve, the cell releases chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. This sounds like a computer, bro. Almost every single neurotransmitter that controls your brain and body is a small specialized carbon-based molecule. I'm going to read that again. Almost every single neurotransmitter is carbon-based molecule. Almost every one is a carbon-based molecule. Serotonin, mood regulation, dopamine, adrenaline, acetylcholine, all are built out of carbon rings and chains. Wow. It insulates the wires. Just like electrical wires in your house are wrapped in plastic insulation so they don't short circuit, your nerves are wrapped in a protective insulation called myelin. Myelin allows nerve signals to travel up to 100 times faster than they would. Really? Let's write you down, myelin. Let's write you down. That's a fact. 100 times faster than they would go on bare wire. Really? Myelin is made up of lipids and proteins, fats, and structures. These fats are made up of incredibly long, tightened, packed carbon-hydrogen chains. Without this carbon insulation, your brain signals would travel too slowly for you to move or think effectively. Stop. Stop. Remember I told you they had a story about story of creation, and they told it a couple of times. Well, they told it a couple of times. They did tell it a couple of times. Probably more than a couple. One of the times they told it, Christians, in my opinion, plagiarized. They just repeated things that they heard from somewhere else. Genesis, they talk about a group of gods that they call the Elohim. It's not one God. I don't know what Bible you're reading. Probably an English Bible. But you would do yourself good to go look these words up. That is that word was Elohim. It's a plural word. So there's a group of people. There's other texts and other civilizations. They call these people the sky people. Nonetheless, it doesn't matter. I don't know if they're people or not either. They're a group of beings, let's say beings, who appear to be very intelligent, very intelligent. In the Christian Bible, it says, "And the Elohim said, let us make man in our image." You know, there's two ways that you can read this. It could be more. I think we've been reading this the same way the whole time, right? So it says, God said, Elohim, let us make man in our image. So you could read it like, let us make the man that is already here in our image. Or you could read it like, let us make man in our image, right? So the second one is like, let us make a man, first of all, and then let us make a man in our image, right? Let us make an entirely new man. Like, nobody's down here. So we're going to make a man. And we're going to make it in our image. The first one is, who are these hominids down here? Let us make these hominids in our image. If I was to believe one, it would be the first one. That there was a hominid down here already, and they just upgraded the hominid to think faster, to do more things, to... Anyway, this is speculation anyhow. That's all speculation. What's not speculation is the importance of carbon. Let's get back to that. And it does seem to be pretty important. Have I gone over all the important things I wanted to when it comes to carbon? Think of your nervous system like a high-speed train system. The sodium and the potassium ions are the electricity powering the train, but carbon builds the tracks, the train cars, the station doors, the fuel that keeps the whole system running. Last question before we move on. We gotta get this clear. So, is there no other element that can also perform like carbon in the body as far as, well, let's put a period there. Let's put a question mark there. This way it can answer that. And then let's add a new question so it can answer both of our questions at the same time. I don't want to give a stacked question. Can any other elements form bonds with other atoms the way carbon does? There we go. There is no other element that can perform exactly like carbon inside the living body. Carbon is uniquely suited for biology, and substituting it with anything else would completely change the rules of chemistry. However, from purely structural standpoint, there is one element in the periodic table that comes incredibly close to matching carbon's bonding ability: silicon. Because silicon sits directly underneath carbon on the periodic table, they are chemically cousins. They share the exact outer shell trait. Silicon has 4 valence electrons and can form 4 covalent bonds at the same time. Okay. Because of this, the scientists and science fiction writers have long speculated about silicon-based forms. Well, that's not where I was going. But anyway, I just wanted to know. Silicon bonds are too rigid. Okay. While silicon can form 4 bonds, it is much larger. It is a much larger atom than carbon. Because its outer electrons are further away from its nucleus, the bonds it forms with other atoms behave differently. Carbon bonds are perfectly strong yet flexible. Carbons can easily form stable, single, double, or even triple bonds within itself, allowing it to twist, bend, form complex rings or long fluid chains. All right. And first of all, I'm only talking about I am only talking about organic elements and not synthetic elements in regarding my question. And that's important because what I found out is on that table, the only reason it reaches 118 on the periodic table is because there's a good amount of those that are synthetic that have been added to that table. But I think organic, there might be like 90 something, maybe like 92, but we can find out right now. To answer your question strictly, though, the lens of organic versus synthetic chemistry, we do have to look at how elements are classified and how their atomic structure limit what they can do. In science, organic elements are the natural bonding blocks of life, while synthetic elements are man-made radioactive elements created inside nuclear reactors or particle accelerators. Okay, I didn't ask you to get defensive, bro. I was just telling you why synthetic elements absolutely cannot work. Alright. Let me read this. Synthetic elements are found at the very bottom of the periodic table. elements 95 through 118. If we look down the columns of the periodic table, we can actually find synthetic elements that share carbon's 4-bond trait. Okay. However, using synthetic elements to perform like carbon in a body is physically impossible for two massive reasons. What are those two massive reasons? Instability and radioactive decay. I agree with you. However, that's not what my show is about. If I was here by myself, I would go right into, I would be reading that for hours, because that's the type of nerd I am. However, I'm not here by myself. I'm on borrowed time with you guys. So therefore, we just gonna go right past that, because we gotta get to some other things. I think the last thing, now that we went through all of that, you see how important, you know what, we've went from what an atom is made up of, how it kind of bonds with others. We went through all of that. We went through the idea of carbon. It has to have 6 protons. When it's neutral, it have 6 electrons. So let's deal with now. We got 6 in the beginning, and we got 6 at the end. We have to deal with the 6 in the middle. So let's deal with isotopes. Please explain to me about isotopes. What are they? Please explain like I am in the 4th grade. Thank you. To understand what an isotope is, let's imagine you are building a fleet of toy cars. I didn't ask you to go that simple, but I'll do it using Lego bricks. Every single car you build needs exactly 6 red bricks for the engine. If a toy car has 6 red bricks, it is officially a carbon car. All right. Well, we got our first 6. If you change that number of red bricks, it becomes a totally different type of vehicle. In a real atom, these red bricks are protons. The number of protons tells you exactly what element the atom is. Carbon always has 6 protons. Here we go. But what about the rest of the car? That's what I'm asking you, Playboy. These people sitting here watching. You understand? To build the body of the car, you use blue bricks. Really? These blue bricks are neutrons. Their main job is to just add weight and hold the car together. Here is the secret. The number of blue bricks can change. Oh, I could change those. Okay, I got it. Meet the isotope brothers. An isotope is just a sibling atom. It has the exact same number of protons. Red bricks. So it is the same element, but it has a different number of neutrons, blue bricks, which can make it weigh a little more or less. Let's look at the 3 famous carbon isotope brothers. We could do that. The normal brother, just a plain vanilla brother, carbon 12. This atom is 6 protons and 6 neutrons. If you add 6 plus 6, you get 12. This is the most common carbon atom in the universe. Really? It's the stable everyday block used to build your body. Really? What? Well, from what I just learned, if it is indeed neutral, and it is the normal brother, and it didn't mention it to us, but what we learned already up here is that if it has 6 protons, then it automatically has 6 electrons, being neutral. This particular isotope, this particular brother, being called the carbon-12, is because clearly the number of neutrons can change. If the number of protons change, it would not be a carbon element. So protons ain't gonna change. If it is neutral, it has also 6 electrons. So we got 12 right there. But they're making the distinction that it's not the electrons, Jamel, that you need to worry about for the carbon-12. The carbon-12 is called the carbon-12 is because it has 6 protons and 6 neutrons. I know that. I'm just adding the other neutron, the other 6, because I know the other 6 is there. By my math, that is 3 6s, 6 6 6. We're not even done. If you're thinking, oh, you're done, I'm not done. I haven't even gotten started yet. Thank you. Carbon-13, the slightly heavy brother. This atom still has 6 protons, obviously, from what you taught me. So it's still a carbon. But it has 7 neutrons inside. It behaves exactly like normal carbon, but is a tiny bit heavier. Okay. Carbon-14, I know, is volatile. I already know this from studying, right? Carbon-14, this atom has 6 protons, 8 neutrons. Because it has too many neutrons crammed into the center, it gets clumsy and unstable. That is the word. Unstable. Over time, it spits out little bits of energy to relax. This is called radioactive. Scientists actually use this heavier brother to figure out how old ancient dinosaur bones or mummy wrappings are. Okay. Summary. An isotope is just an atom that has the same identity as its brothers, but a different weight. They look at the same. They act the same in chemistry, but one is just a little bit chubbier than the other because it packs a few neutrons. Okay. No problem. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. What? Because I do think I read something up here that said the carbon-12 is in fact everyday block used to build your body. This is the most common carbon atom in the universe. Yeah. Now that we understand how important carbon is. Now that we understand that, let's figure out the other part. That's what we have to figure out, right? Because what they said was that no man would be able to buy or sell without the mark of the beast. We pretty much, because of these great clues, right? You telling me once you said to me that this bad boy was the number of a man, and his number is 666. Okay. I'm gonna take that to be that 666, because there is no other element in the body that is, I don't think, is more important, that does more work than carbon. But we already went over that. We already discussed that. Now, how, Jamel, is this carbon, like, are they supposed to, like, how are they going to make us buy and sell off of that? Well, thank you. Not only do I sell snake oils in my spare time, but I am a novice researcher, my good friend. And if you do want some of my snake oils, the link is in the description box. Because I can't get sued, I cannot say too much. What I can say is, this is black walnut tincture. That's all I can say. You won't sue me for selling snake oils. Right? You think you want a healthy gut? My good man, look at my description box and buy some of my black walnut tincture. Yeah, see? All right. Let us move on. I brought up the isotope for a reason, but now we have to. I got you, Uncle Andy. Let's get busy. What are, let's see that. What are diamonds made of? A diamond is made up of just one single element, carbon. Really? In fact, a diamond is 99.95 pure carbon. What? It's crazy talk, bro. The exact same carbon atoms that make up the graphite pencil lead you use to write with are the same atoms that make up sparkling, super hard diamonds. The only difference is how those carbon atoms are arranged. What do you mean arranged? What do you mean by that? In a pencil, a piece of pencil lead, graphite, the carbon atoms are arranged in flat, loose sheets that slide off easily when you push down on paper. But inside a diamond, the carbon atoms are jammed together under intense heat, pressure, deep inside the earth. Remember how carbon loves to form bonds. Under that pressure, every single carbon atom locks hands with 4 other carbon atoms in every direction, creating a perfect 3-dimensional pyramid shape called a tetrahedron. This repeating pattern creates a giant unbroken molecular cage. Because all the bonds are perfectly equal, tight, and strong, it makes diamond the hardest natural substance on Earth. Jesus. Gemini, remember this, Gemini said it makes diamond the hardest natural substance on Earth. Okay. How they are made. I don't really care how they're made, bro. I know that Rhodes guy from Britain was a piece of work. Killing all the Africans so he can get diamonds. But that's another video. It's not this video here. I can tell you that. So when you look at diamond, you're looking at pure organic carbon that was squeezed by the earth until it became virtually indestructible. That is mighty impressive. You mentioned graphite. What is the difference between graphite and diamond? The difference between graphite and diamond is one of the most amazing tricks in chemistry. Is this a trick? Both are made of 100% pure carbon. Uh-oh. Houston, we got a problem. Uncle Andy, do you see where we might be going left automatically? What? But they are opposites in almost every way. One is dark, soft, and greasy, while the other is clear, ultra hard, and brilliant. Jesus. The structural difference comes down to how the carbon atoms pack together. So far, your body got carbon in it. The earth has carbon in it. It's being presented to us in different ways, different structures. Ma'at, balance, or alchemist, or that perfect mixture, the perfect mixture to turn lead to gold, right? Symbolically. What is lead? You know the answer to that. You don't tell me you wasn't sitting here for no damn hour and change already and you don't know what lead is. Lead is carbon. Boom, you got that. How do you turn that to gold? Would you believe me if I told you that one of the most powerful men on this planet predicted that lead would be more valuable than gold in the future? Would you believe me or not? It really doesn't matter if you believe me because he did say it. We're going to take a look at that in a second. The structural difference comes down to how the carbon atoms... Okay. In chemistry, when the same element can exist in different physical forms like this, they are called allotropes. The atomic structure, the secret. Because carbon has 4 valent electrons, it always wants to form 4 bonds. It satisfies these bonds changing... It satisfies those bonds, changes everything. Okay. Graphite. Diamond. Okay. I don't want to read all of this. I want to give you enough that you could go back and you could do some studying yourself. Here's a question I didn't ask. Can you turn graphite into diamond? Yes, because they are made of the exact same ingredient. You can actually turn a pencil lead into a diamond. Stop right there. Stop the fucking madness. Stop the madness. So, are you still suggesting that a man saves up 3 months' salary? To go get a wedding ring that is a diamond? God damn that diamond, right? I don't know who. And you know what? I used to ask this as a kid. As a kid, I remember asking this to adults. I said, who set the value on these diamonds? Who's to say that they're valuable? Who said they're valuable? Nobody could really answer me. But you don't want to be left out the loop. And especially, no female that you're going to marry wants to be left out the loop. If everybody else is getting diamonds, well, you got to go and get one. Because I'm going to feel like a nobody. I'm going to feel like you think I'm cheap if you don't go. But what if you understood without even understanding as a child? Yo, they setting us up. You understand? First of all, I don't really like how they using the people over there in Africa to get these other diamonds. Now that the cat's out the bag and we know that they can make goddamn diamonds. Are they still a rarity? I don't know the answer to that. Five Pillars says he learned a lot of this in his strength and conditioning course. Drop your link, bro. Promote your course. Is this your course you want to promote? Five Pillars, I'm going to keep it real. I'm still learning on this earth. You understand? I was late to the class. Literally. I didn't get interested in math and science until recently. So I didn't know this. But now it's drawing me in. I'm starting to really get into this a little bit. Let's do this. Can graphite be patented? The short answer is no. You cannot patent graphite itself, but yes, you can patent new ways to make it, modify it, or use it. The distinction comes down to a core rule of patent law. You cannot patent a product of nature. Because graphite is a naturally occurring mineral found in the Earth's crust, it belongs to the public domain. Nobody can claim ownership over the element carbon or its natural crystal structures. Okay. It seems to have already answered my question, but I'll ask it anyway. Can you patent graphene? And what is graphene? To understand the race to patent this material, we must first look at what it actually is. Graphene is often called a miracle material. It is directly related to the graphite we just discussed. Is it? What is graphene? Graphene is a single isolated layer of graphite. Imagine a block of graphite as massive, heavy book with millions of pages. Each individual page in that book is a sheet of graphene. It is a flat, two-dimensional layer of carbon atoms packed tightly together in a honeycomb lattice measuring exactly 1 atom thick. Even though it is practically invisible to the naked eye and completely weightless, its unique atomic structure gives it mind-blowing physics and superpowers. Is that correct? Oh, okay. No, you can get busy. You know what I'm saying? I say you do the fitness and all that. If you got a website, I don't know where you at. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who's gonna watch this. If you want to let them know you in Marietta, Georgia, or wherever you're at, and they want to shed a few pounds, get busy, bro. Incredible strength. For atom, graphene is about 200 times stronger than steel. To break 1 atom thick sheet of graphene with a pencil, you would have to balance an entire elephant on the tip of that pencil. Okay. He's getting crazy. It says, can you patent graphene? Just like graphite, you cannot patent raw graphene because it is naturally occurring structure found within graphite. However, because graphene has the potential to revolutionize computers, solar panels, batteries, and aerospace engineering, it has triggered one of the largest, most aggressive global patent wars in modern history. Companies, universities, governments have all filed tens of thousands of patents related to it. So yes or fucking no? I hate when you give me an around the world answer. What are you doing? You just said I cannot patent graphene, but you said all of these companies have tens of thousands of patents for graphene. Before I read all of this that it just told me, let's do this. Who discovered graphene? Let's do that. Graphene was successfully isolated and identified in 2004 by 2 physicists at the University of Manchester. Okay. For their groundbreaking experiments, the duo was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2010. Okay. While scientists had known theoretically since 1947 that a single layer of carbon atoms could exist, most believe it was impossible to actually isolate. The laws of physics suggest that a 2D material just 1 atom thick would automatically roll up, melt, fall apart because it would be too thermodynamically unstable. Okay. These scientists proved everyone wrong, and the way they did it has become one of the most famous stories in modern science. Okay. The breakthrough didn't come from a multi-million-dollar government supermachine. It happened during Friday night experiment sessions where the lab team was encouraged to try wacky, high-risk, out-of-the-box experiments that had nothing to do with their regular day jobs. Now I want to stop right there. Never mind these people that want you to think like everyone else all the time. I think different for a reason. Soon as I get around people that try to conform me and tell me, you got to think like everybody else, I'm not designed like that. Neither was this fucking guy, apparently, and he discovered something that's going to revolutionize Earth and the experience on this planet as we know it. Why? Because I'm going to do something that doesn't make sense, right? Because what you're saying makes sense, and it can't be done, and it has to be done this way. I'm just going to try it anyway and see what happens. Now, he's a scientist. I'm more of a philosopher. So I like to think differently. And the amount of stoic people they're just polarizing their thinking. It's like they can't think any other way. I think that's a dangerous way to really be as a human being. During one of these sessions, they were trying to grind a chunk of graphite down as thinly as possible. Another researcher in the lab had been using ordinary sticky tape to clean the surface of graphite blocks built before putting them under the microscope, throwing the used tape in the trash. These scientists realized that the trash tape was covered in microscopic dark flakes of pulled away carbon. They took a piece of regular adhesive tape, stuck it into a flake of graphite, and peeled it apart. They folded the tape and peeled it apart again, over and over. Wow. Give me a second. Just give me a second. If they discovered this in 2004, it sounds like it's not that natural, and I am confused why they could not patent their discovery. It is completely natural to be confused by this. It sounds like a massive contradiction. If Jamel and Novoselov were the first people in the human history to successfully isolate graphene in 2004, and they won a Nobel Prize for it, why couldn't they patent it and become multi-billionaires? The answer comes down to strict fundamental legal war and the patent law. There you go. The distinction between an invention and a discovery. That's effed up. You cannot patent a law or product of nature. Under international patents law, you can only patent an invention, something man-made that does not exist in the natural universe without human engineering. You cannot patent a discovery, something that already exists naturally. The reality of graphene. Graphene has existed for billions of years. Every single time someone drew a line with a graphene pencil, millions of tiny flakes of graphene were being left behind the paper. Okay. Well, there's my answer. It said, what did get patented? While these scientists didn't patent the raw material, the moment they published their paper, a global rush began. A global gold rush began. Thousands of other scientists and corporations immediately began patenting the high-tech machinery, industrial chemical processes, and specific products built using graphene. Today, countries like China, the United States, and South Korea hold thousands of patents on graphene-infused batteries, flexible electric. I don't want to talk about that, but I want to talk about my good man. Bow! Is this? A narrative view on promising potential of graphene in vaccine design, evaluating the benefits and drawbacks of carbon nanoplates and nano-vaccine production. Really? Before we go there, though, let's not go there too fast. Let's not go there too fast. Engaging the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Perspectives from theology, philosophy, and education. I think before we go to the scholarly peer review uses of graphene, because this is a form of a theological, I am including some theology in this, right? We are talking about the mark of the beast. And by the way, I have no idea how these people predicted that this 666 would be so important and that it will do exactly what they said. Because I don't think anybody would be able to buy or sell. And the reason I say that is because of this. Let's go back. Are you here? Yeah, let's go here. I mean, I could go here too. No, I don't want to go there yet because those guys are assholes and I've been going to their site. The reason I call them an asshole is because I've been going to their site for a very long time. But all of a sudden now, they never used to talk about vaccines on this graphene flagship website. Now all of a sudden, I don't know who's having conversations, but the first thing they say is, yo, we don't have graphene. There's no graphene in our vaccines. Bro, I've been coming to your site for a long time. I have videos with me teaching on this, right? Now, all of a sudden, like I have videos from years ago of me teaching on graphene. You never talked about any type of suggesting that graphene was in the vaccine. When you flip out like that, it makes me think you are guilty. Because that's not what you was on before. Anyway. Because I've been studying this for so many years, I already know the answers to the questions I'm about to ask. But I'm going to ask them anyway for the purpose of the show. What are the strengths of graphene? We'll start there. Nothing too heavy, nothing too crazy. When material scientists talk about the strength of graphene, they may mean both it literally and functionally. Electrical, thermal, chemically traits, mind-blowing mechanical strength. Okay, stronger than steel. Extreme elasticity. Elasticity. Hate that word. Extreme elasticity. I'm better. That's better. And flexibility. Usually materials that are incredibly strong are also very brittle, like diamonds or glass. Graphene breaks this rule entirely. Stretchability. A sheet of graphene can be stretched up to 20% of its original length without breaking. Flexibility. It behaves like a microscopic fabric. Do tell. It can be bent, twisted, folded, rolled into tubes or spheres without losing its mechanical integrity or electrical conductivity. Let me tell you something right now. If you don't understand where we're going on this planet, Dre Theo brings up a good point. International law is the highest law. I didn't even think of that, Dre Theo. I didn't even think of that when I read it. Why do we think that? Why do you think it's the highest law in the world? That nobody, none of us can patent this. And it seems like we're headed towards a one world order. But I don't want to go into conspiracy theories yet. Blistering electrical conductivity. Graphene is a hyperconductor, moving electricity faster than any other material at room temperature. Really? Zero friction for electrons. In a normal copper wire, moving electrons bump into atoms, slowing down and creating heat. And graphene, the unique quantum layout, allows electrons to travel entirely unimpeded, acting as if they have no mass at all. They move at about 1/300th the speed of light, hundreds of times faster than electrons moving through silicone chips. This is crazy. This is crazy. It's crazy because there are plenty of conversations about putting this in your body. Plenty. You don't hear these conversations because they want you to watch dog videos and they want you to see Chris Rock's get smacked on stage and Chud the Builders running around calling people the N-word. And they're going to have something for you every day to wake up to and be distracted to. And if there is some smarty pants ass YouTuber who thinks he knows it all and wants to share this information ahead of time, then we just won't give them any views. Luckily, I don't do this for money. I don't get paid for this shit. I just love doing it. That is mighty impressive, though. I'm not going to hold you. The electrical conductivity part is bananas. And by the way, you do know your body uses electricity, right? It needs it. Record-breaking thermal conductivity. Graphene is a master at moving and dissipating heat. Heat dissipation. It conducts heat twice as well as diamond and roughly 10 times better than copper. This makes it an absolute game changer for high-performance computing, aerospace, and electric vehicles. We're pulling destructive heat away from... I can understand now why Klaus Schwab said this would be more valuable than gold. Optical transparency and impermeability. Despite being ultra dense and strong, it is virtually invisible and acts as a perfect barrier. Let me say something to you that I have to be careful saying this. So I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not saying that this is what happened. What I'm saying is I've thought about this and whether they have done this or not. I thought about whether they messed around and tried to put graphene in some of these vaccines earlier. Right? And it didn't work out. It didn't work out. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I did think about it. Anyway, we do know whatever they put in there, the shit just didn't work out. There was an adverse effect of some type of clogs being that many morticians found to be connected to the vaccines. Whatever happened, they were sued. Many people say the vaccines are safe, and yet there are lawsuits going around. So this is why, to be fair, I say which vaccine, so that you are not misrepresented and you don't insult people's intelligence by telling people the vaccines are safe when clearly there are lawsuits pending and some people have won the fucking lawsuits. So don't make a general blanket statement that the vaccines are safe. Please let these people know which ones are safe. I think it's your duty. Now because clearly now, even the flagship website, this picture never used to be up there. But now, even clearly, they're like, yo, we don't got nothing to do with being in vaccines, bro. We just... whatever. I don't think you would have told us anyway if you did try that shit. And there was no other perfect time to try that shit on a bigger data set. That was the perfect opportunity to try this shit on everybody. So if you didn't try it, you're the fucking asshole. If you didn't try, you should have tried it. How about that? If you did try it, then you're a fucking asshole still. You didn't know that much about it. Either way, you're an asshole. Either way, there's no getting around it. But it sounded so promising. everything that this could possibly do. Now let's get here. Now this is Engaging the Fourth Industrial Revolution. I have that book by Klaus Schwab. I'm not going to read it now. You can go get this book and download this yourself. However, what I'm going to do right now, let's see what we got in here. Engaging the Fourth Perspectives from Theology. So they're talking about bioengineering in here. They're talking about artificial intelligence. They're talking about robotics, nanotechnology, quantum computing. Data, body, and connectivity. 51. That's wild. What? Shall we just go to 51 now? I was gonna do something else, but now now they got me interested. Let's go to page 51. I wasn't going to start here. Wait, what is this? Oh, I gotta read this whole thing. This is very interesting. Ooh, I gotta read this whole thing. Let's just go to page 51 for now. See what we find. Okay. Let's do this. I like what I just read, but I'm not going to read that. I'm going to do this. I type in graphene. And let's just go to the first graphene. Material science. In the past, the path of civilization and even history has to a large extent been governed by specific technological progress. The technologies around stone, bronze, and iron played such an important role in the shaping of ancient history, the molding of societies, and the creation of economic power and domination, that eventually entire eras were named after these materials. Now a new material, graphene, has been discovered that could potentially alter the future and reshape our world. This material has the characteristics and capability to disrupt current technologies and could introduce countless innovations. Graphene is an amazing material of super strength and flexibility. It is 100 or 200 times stronger than steel and can easily be stretched out. Okay. It is light. Okay. We know that from all the stuff we read. Graphene is much better heat conductor than silver and copper. We know all of that. Graphene quantum dots are very effective in the treatment of brain injuries, strokes, multiple sclerosis, heart attacks, while graphene has proved especially valuable in thermognostics and targeted drug delivery. The impact of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Okay. We got automation, artificial intelligence, and elimination of jobs down here. I don't think I want to read that. The power of large corporates, dehumanizing people. Closely related to the above is that the people are no longer regarded as creations, but as mere products defined by an artificial intelligence algorithm. Everything that exists becomes rooted in an algorithm, and life is merely an enormous process of data processing. This results in the dehumanizing of humans to being with only utility value instead of value based on their creation by God. this is going to be a good book to read. However, I do want to say this regarding the dehumanizing part. As I read, I think we're going to get into many inventions that, especially on the biotechnology and the nanotechnology part, that suggest they have products or uses for graphene that will be implemented in our body on a daily basis because of the benefits of graphene, which we now know is just an isotope of carbon. And an allotrope, a different allotrope of carbon at the same time. Because we read everything that carbon 12 already does within our, well, carbon period already does within our bodies. It does a lot, right? It really, and we understand when it says it's the backbone of organic life. Just a little bit that we read, we understand that it is the main element that is forming all of these bonds. It is responsible for the signal traveling in our body. However, as it is, I don't believe, and I could be wrong, that we can electronically communicate the way they want to. Well, we can electronically communicate with this carbon the way it is right now in our body. Maybe a different variation of carbon. Do you think there is a way to use graphene to electronically communicate with another device? Yes, absolutely. Graphene is not just capable of electronic communication. It is widely considered by engineers to be the future foundational material in ultra-high-speed wireless and wired data transmission. Because of this unique ability to move electrons at blistering speeds with zero friction, graphene, that's very impressive. The whole zero friction thing, that's very impressive. Graphene allows devices to communicate faster over higher frequencies and using less power than traditional silicone or copper-based technologies. Here are the primary ways graphene is actively being used and developed to enable electronic communications. You don't have to tell me, bro. I'm good. Bioelectronic communication. Devices talk to cells. Jesus, I didn't want you to say that on my show. I didn't want you to say that out loud. One of the most profound frontiers of graphene communication is not device to device, but device to the brain. Okay. There's that. The cat's out the bag. Can I turn on the phone now? Let me turn on the phone now for anybody that wants to come up and say their piece. Right? Hold on. I'll finish reading. Turn on the phone. All right, the phone lines are on. Phone lines are on. And I gotta go eat soon. Hold on 1 second. My bad. Okay. Your nervous system communicates using electrical impulses, and your cells are fluid and flexible. Silicone chips are rigid, bulky, and can cause scarring when implanted into living tissue. Neural interfaces, because graphene is flexible, biocompatible, and super electrical conductor, researchers are building ultra-thin graphene meshes that can be placed directly onto the brain of the nerves. The graphene interface acts as a translator. It clearly detects the electrical firing of your neurons and instantly converts those impulses into digital signals that an external computer, prosthetic robotic limb, or smartphone can understand. Hello. Exactly, Uncle Andy. We're already there, baby. We're already there. You understand? So it's not that it's if the mark of the beast is coming, bro, what other choice you got? You understand? If you want a job, this is why they was pushing so hard, in my opinion. Let me say my opinion. Because clearly it didn't work the first time. And it shouldn't have worked because they never worked on this before. I don't know if they worked on it on a mass scale. I think they rushed to produce this. What I think is that people got over ambitious. But the main person who really caused all of that was, in my opinion, was Bill Gates, because he wanted to be before everybody else, right? So he had methodically worked on giving to the WHO, and remember, it was a point in time where every country, including ours, were basically listening to the WHO. The WHO, if we're just going off donations alone, and your funding, you have to listen to this man, Bill Gates. And clearly, after watching his commercials and his infomercials, this man is off his rocker. But he was amped up. He was so excited about vaccination. No one should be that excited about vaccination. That's first of all. But we can kind of see this is bigger than vaccination. This is bigger than that. If somehow I can get this in you already, but it doesn't look like that's how it's going to go down. Scrupulously and, not telling people. It looks like this may go down a whole different way, or it just may take more time. However, they don't have a lot of time. It's 2026. The agenda was for 10 years, 2020, 2030, right? So in the next 4 years, they got to figure out now, how do we get everyone to willingly say, I want this in my body. The first time you tried a goddamn biological weapon, horrible. I don't understand how you're not in fucking jail now. He is such a badass. He said there's going to be another one. So they're already working on more. I'm not saying that's going to be the one that's going to make everyone say, okay, I want the vaccine. Obviously, that's one channel that maybe they have tried. You know the fucked up part about that? It makes people skeptical of vaccines now. Because it only takes one asshole to try some stupid shit with vaccines. He shouldn't have been. For these people that's in the science community, if you care so much about the reputation of vaccines and science, then why aren't you sticking up when a jackass wants to come in your community and ruin the whole perspective of something that is good for the people. But people aren't stupid, and you're asking people to be stupid. You're asking people to not see and recognize and acknowledge what they just seen, what they just witnessed, what they just felt. They seen loved ones die. No one's that stupid. We're all not that stupid. So when I get these dogmatic science apologists up here, I hate it.
Call from
Drakeo.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello?
Hello?
What's good, man?
Hey, Jamel. Hey, man. Good show. I'm Drakeo from the audience.
What's going on, man? Thanks for calling, man.
Yeah. I like the show. What I want to share with you is about the language, like my theory, what I believe the mark of the beast is.
Okay.
To make it pretty quick, the English language, the alphabet script, use A through Z. Right? Then you have punctuation. Now, English, according to law, is a word order. Subject, verb, object, punctuation. Syntax in law, subject, verb, punctuation, also includes capitalization. It's case sensitive, right? So if we, with that right there, if we look at a NBA jersey, you look at say Jordan, number 23. Jordan number 3 is in all caps. You can't write English in all caps. The 23 is identified as Western Arabic. So when people speaking it, the way it's depicted and formatted, you actually can't speak the language. All caps language, according to international law, is identified as American Sign Language writing gloss, finger spelling. And writing gloss been given out all through history. They write in glosses. It's only intended for the person that knows how to read it. So when you look at the NBA jersey, you can just look at it straight off the back. Like, is it written in English? Nobody can say that it is. And that's where the whole sort of, you could say, ape coming from. I'm only saying Jordan because I heard someone else can't say Jordan. But actually, how it's written, it says nothing. Another thing what's important is if you put your hand to your mouth and if you say STOP, you'll feel breath. Now, how you put that breath in writing? The punctuation X has longs in the written language. So there's no breath, you can't speak it. So the name and the number of the beast, the name, the all caps, you can't speak it. The number, you can't speak it, that's Arabic. And the 666 just tell you how long, how it sounds. And dynamic markings, FFF, means very, very loud. So if you look at the stop sign or the NBA jersey, it's very, very loud, but it's saying absolutely nothing because there's no breath. I conclude there.
Yo, thanks for that, man.
If you got an email, I can send you the book that I read out of. It's the Chicago Manual Style.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna send it to you.
All right, bet, bro. Thanks for coming up.
Thanks
for sharing your knowledge, bro.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. That's my email right there. Okay. Thanks for coming up and sharing with us. Huey, man. Call the number, Huey, so we could get I see Huey always responds to this topic. So we give Huey some time to come up, get his thoughts together, and share with us there his look on things. He sees the 666 as being associated with Saturn, right? And I'm very curious to hear him explain that verbally. But I think like Uncle Andy said, I won't drag this out. Before I got other stuff to talk about. I was just trying to skate off to dinner. But let me not do that, cause I got other. So let me just show you real quick, because you could do the same thing. And again, if I would have prepared for this show the way I normally do, if I was feeling myself, but I'm not feeling myself, I would have had, you guys know this, I would have had slides and everything, but I'm not feeling myself. So the first thing I did was look up scholarly research that shows graphene in a vaccine. Graphene or graphene oxide is not an ingredient in any commercially approved or authorized vaccine for human use. However, there is a however. There is a vast body of scholarly peer-reviewed research investigating graphene-based nanomaterials for experimental future vaccine technologies. So, the topic of it being used in your body, this is going down. This is going down. Now, you could take my word for it, or you could wait until it's right on your heels and somehow your job is asking you to do something if you want to keep your job. And there will be very few jobs, as we know, because of automation. Not so much because of AI, but the combination of automation and AI is a deadly combination. It's a job killer. It's a job killer. Robotics, automation, and AI, that's a job killer right there. So we know about capitalism. I don't have to tell you something that you don't know. We know they want to get the biggest bang for their buck without spending as much. And that's what kind of got us into a horrible situation in the first place, by sending all these jobs that could have stayed here in America. But capitalists, as they should, they're looking, how do I make more money? Well, that's what a capitalist does, right? They want to know, how do I make more money? What should have never been done was them to be able to influence politicians to change laws to allow the framework of our government to be, and the whole social framework of our existence in this country to be eroded away. There should have been more than a few people that said, nah. And I'm saying this, but can I turn down, $100,000 when I need it? I don't know. If I need the money and you're asking me, hey, it's not really going to matter. So I can talk shit now, but I'm not in a position where someone's pushing a fucking $500,000 across my kitchen table. I'm just talking shit. The moment that happens, am I thinking about any of you in the chat? Right? Am I thinking about Uncle Andy? Nah, man, this is going to fuck up Uncle Andy. Or am I thinking, hey, man, I got $500,000. I could take out. Okay, here's the thing. I may take that $500,000 and help out Uncle Andy, but that's only for my own selfish conscience to make myself feel better, right? Well, I took care of the people I know. What about everybody else in the fucking government in the United States? So you have all these senators and these Congress people. Somebody's taking money from somebody, god damn it. And after so many decades of this happening, where are we left? Well, it was going all downhill anyway. Let's just say that before we finally do, or they do implement all these graphene bio products. It was all going downhill anyway. But what I'm suggesting in this video, if you did not pick up what I was putting down, is that the graphene will be induced to work together with the carbon that's already doing its thing. Graphene is already a carbon-based product, so I believe, hey, we're just going to use it to what the carbon is already doing, but to enhance that. The biggest part of this carbon, this type of carbon anyway, is that it can be electronically communicated with. So don't think for a second, oh, they're talking about patches. No, bro, you don't understand. You don't understand what graphene could do. Graphene can be transparent, right? Even though it's stronger than steel, it's flexible. You can put it in liquid. It's one of the best, worst things that we've ever fucking discovered on this planet. It's amazing if you have people who have a vision with morality and ethics, but when you tell me when that person has been head of any government since we've been alive. They don't exist. All of these people are compromised, and if they turned out not to be compromised, then they'll get their head blown off right in front of their wife. Let me read a few of these comments before I get out of here. Herb left a lot of comments, so I think he deserves for his comments to be read. We're still waiting for Huey. He's bashful to get up here and please explain the way he sees the 666. Herb mentions a patent, numbers, and THC. Okay, Herb is just promoting. Easy on the promoting, Herb. It's enough promoting for today. Talk about the conversation. The government spying. I don't want to read that. All right. I guess the last thing I can mention, the very last thing, is WO 2020 060606. I guess we can do that. I guess we can do that to end the show. Right? What is this? Let me make sure that okay, good. Now, this is a cryptocurrency system using body activity data. And that's how it looks there. You, the person. Notice, it never says I've done these diagrams many a times working in IT. I was a project manager right? I was a IT manager twice. The one thing that stood out to me is in this diagram, there's no arrow going from the person to the sensor. There's an arrow everywhere else. There's an arrow telling you where the information is going. The sensor is going to talk to the user device that will send the user device to the cloud, and the cloud will send it to the servers and then the crypto system. I figured they didn't have an arrow because it is implied that the sensor would indeed already be on or in the person. Now, as you can see, the applicant for this patent is Microsoft, who we automatically going to know as one Bill Gates, right? Who just so happens to be the same person pushing for this vaccine shit, right? Graphene, a two-dimensional material consisting of a single layer of carbons arranged in a honeycomb lattice. I mean, it's going to repeat everything. I don't want to do that. I'm about to get out of here. But I do suggest that you guys read up on some of the things that I spoke about today. I like to drop breadcrumbs, and then you could take it from there. Right? I do think that carbon is the mark of the beast. Specifically, graphene. I'm going to leave now. That being said, 1 second. I wrote a new song today, and I'm going to leave on that song. It's called Beautiful. I can't say what album it's going to be on yet. It will be on one of my albums, but I was supposed to be doing a hip-hop album. However, this is not a hip-hop song, but I love this song so far. So, in my leaving, I thank everybody for coming over today, staying, having a conversation. But I'm out of here. I'm about to go spend some time with my family, eat some dinner, and get ready for the game tonight. Here is Beautiful, the live version. Well, it does that sometime. It's been doing that lately. Give me a second. There we go. Thanks, Drake.
I done seen pretty faces come and go. Caught a couple feelings and I let them go with the flow. had a few good women, yeah, I can't deny the truth. But none of them could ever do the things that you do. Never felt at home, always felt temporary. Different chapter, different name, same story, same cemetery. Then you showed up when I wasn't even looking, and rewrote my whole life without touching a bookend. I was hard-headed, running wild, chasing pride, trying to fill an empty space I kept hidden inside. Then you gave my days meaning, gave my nights a light. Now I understand the difference between wrong and right. And if I search this whole world twice, I never find another pair of eyes that could calm my soul the way you do. Girl, every road somehow led me to you. That's the only word I know. When I see you standing there, my heart won't let it go. Beautiful, from your smile to your soul, and every broken piece of me finally feels whole. Beautiful, yeah, that's all I wanna say. If forever has a face, girl, it's looking your way. Beautiful, and I thank God every day for you. Used to chase moments, now I'm chasing forever. Used to think love was a storm, now it's shelter from the weather. I was drifting through the seasons trying to find my place. Then you came and put the sunshine back upon my face. Everybody standing, family feeling enough the room, but somehow all the noise disappears when I look at you. Oh, time froze still when you started walking down that aisle. I swear heaven touched the earth when I saw your smile. Every lesson, every loss, every scar I earned, every bridge I crossed and every page I turned led me to this moment, led me to this view. Every road I ever took somehow led me to you. Beautiful, that's the only word I know. When I see you standing there, my heart won't let